Good evening, meteorologist Bob Acanfrio with a tropical update for Tuesday, July 26, 2011. Well, here we've been following, especially if you're follow me on Facebook. If anybody wants to follow me on Facebook, it's Robert Acanfrio, Acanfrio. Look me up and you can follow me on Facebook. I do have a hard time getting out these videos every day, but I do put out little blurbs on Facebook from time to time, keeping you updated on the tropics and other weather events. And been really keeping one eye on this Invest 90L all week, really. Even though the National Hurricane Center, they did drop the system a few days ago, I always had that one eye on it just to watch it because really couldn't give up on this system totally. Things were going to get a little better as it moved into the Western Caribbean. We were talking about that last week or about 4 or 5 days ago. And we see it here today starting to get better organized. You can see we don't really have a closed circulation center yet, but if one wants to form, it's going to be west of the, here's the Isle of Youth right here off of western Cuba. Probably right in this area here. We can see something starting to develop right in this area. And we'll see kind of an outflow here starting to bubble up here. Everything's looking better and better organized. And if this trend continues, I wouldn't be surprised to see a tropical depression by as early as tomorrow. We do have the Hurricane Hunter scheduled to go out in the system tomorrow afternoon. And by then we could be talking about tropical depression, maybe even tropical storm Don. Who knows? But definitely can see a tropical depression by tomorrow if this continues to get better organized. So here we have it here. Let's look at some parameters here. First, let's look at the water vapor loop so we can see what we have coming ahead of this system. Let's just set the stage for you here. We have a surface trough here laying down across the southeast and then across the northern Gulf. Numerous showers and thunderstorms developing across this region today. Little upper level system here off the southeast coast. Another upper level system here in the Bay of Campeche. Drier air, which looked maybe would be a problem with this system, things are really starting to moisten up here across the Gulf of Mexico. So I don't think dry air is going to be as much of a factor with this system going forward. Shear, well, right now shear looks pretty good for the next 24 to 48 hours. We may start getting some easterly shear coming through the Gulf of Mexico here as we progress in the next couple days. I'll show you what's going to be steering this system in a minute here. So that's really what we have here. I mean, if this thing starts to really develop, you almost can see a nice little outflow channel wants to develop to the north of this, kind of mixing into this upper level system here off the southeast coast. So, I mean, just looking at this right now, it looks like if this really could get a low level center to really start to develop, I think this thing could steadily strengthen here in the Gulf. I don't really see much hindering it in the next 24 to 48 hours. So something to watch for there. Here's the vorticity, 850 vorticity. You can see slowly but surely the last 24 hours the vorticity has really started to get going at the lower levels, and it's starting to get vertically stacked as well. We see it at 700, we see it at 500. So system's starting to get going here right in the northwestern Caribbean here. All right, wind shear, as I was showing you. Here's have this upper level low in the Bay of Campeche. Again, the surface trough up here. So right now it's in that 5, 10, 15 knot area. Really not much wind shear to talk about the next 24 hours, and that's why this thing should steadily develop. Again, when we get into the Gulf of Mexico, that's where, who knows what's going to happen. Little higher wind shear values now. These actually should lift to the west. High pressure is going to build in from the western Atlantic and push westward. So eventually we could be getting some easterly shear onto the system, which is not as bad as westerly shear. But at least for the next 24 to 48 hours, I think it's going to be in a pretty favorable position for shear. So again, another plus if we're looking for this system to develop. Okay, what's steering it, where it's going to go? Everybody wants to know. Well, right now, again, surface trough here across the southeast into the northern Gulf. This surface trough is going to lift north. High pressure, subtropical high, is going to move west. Upper level low, Bay of Campeche, west. So you got that. This lifts, this moves west, high pressure moves west. So basically this subtropical high is what's going to steer what may be Don in the near future off to the west-northwest. Don's been a little quick. Well, Invest 90L, I'm already calling it Don. I'm getting ahead of the game here, but it's been moving a little quicker. Started to slow down a little bit today. Speed is going to be key here on how far north this guy goes. If it slows down, high pressure is going to come westward, and then we would see more of a west-northwest track towards the southern half of Texas, northern Mexico. Looking at the speed now, I'm thinking this is going to go a little farther north. So maybe central or the southeast Texas coast here, maybe up the coast here more, might be affected from this potential system. Of course, if this system does not get huge, we don't want to see a hurricane here. A nice tropical storm would be welcome for Texas right now as far as rainfall goes. Could this sneak up as far north as Louisiana? It's possible. I mean, it'll depend on the speed. If this thing continues its pretty steady speed here, the farther north it's going to go. The quicker, the farther south it's going to go. So that's where, and we really don't know exact speed and anything until the system really gets going. So, right now everybody should be aware across the entire Texas coast and even Louisiana coastline needs to really watch this system carefully because this could sneak up a little farther north. Again, depending on the speed and the size and the strength of this system. Latest models, and these are some of the early run models. We run these on the specific Invest. So we have Invest 90L. We started running models again. And you can see they've kind of shifted a little farther north up the Texas coast. And this is what I was saying about the speed of the system. If this continues to truck on the next couple days, we could really see it move more towards the central Texas coast. And could it sneak a little farther north? Yeah, it's possible. So we're going to, again, I want everybody to be aware across the Texas coastline and even, the western to central Louisiana coast here. Just be aware. You never know. This could sneak even a little farther north. Intensity models, again, the ones I pay attention to, the ships and the LGEM models, and they all get it pretty close to a Category 1 hurricane at landfall. Again, landfall's looking about 72 hours from now. We're looking at Friday at its current speed before it affects anywhere along that Texas coast there. So we have a few days to watch this. But again, hey, Category 1 hurricane, I wouldn't say no right now on that. It's a possibility. Anything gets in the Gulf with low shear this time of year, the possibility's out there. It could happen. Again, the odds are more likely a tropical storm, but hey, cannot rule out a hurricane at this point. Everything's on the table with this system. Conditions are not that terrible, so we have to be careful with that. Really, none of the global models have been seeing this system. I don't have any models to show you. GFS, Euro, no gaps. Nobody was showing this system. Again, it's a small system, and they're really hard to find, and I think they were having a lot of trouble maybe with the dry air as a factor, wind shear, not sure, but they're not showing that. So one of the models that was run earlier at 12Z, this was the HWRF model, and they are showing a hurricane approaching the South Texas coast here later on Friday. So again, just one model run out there. GFDL didn't really do much with this system at 12Z, but again, very early in the game. You can't put that much stock in these models right now, and really none of the other models had anything for us right now. So let's go on what we think will happen. Let's use our meteorological sense here, and as I showed you, if you're looking at the steering flow, subtropical high is going to move west. That's going to, the key to this system is going to be how strong it gets and how fast. Faster it goes, it's going to move farther north. If it decides to slow down, subtropical high moves west, gets in there a little quicker, it would dart it more towards South Texas. So again, right now, heading towards the Texas coastline somewhere in the next 3 days, probably more like Friday, maybe later on Friday. So that's what we're watching right now. And again, if you want to follow me on Facebook, sometimes I throw little quicker updates on Facebook. Just hit me up and I'll add you. And again, I'll try to have another update for you guys tomorrow sometime on our Invest or possibly tropical depression. Have a good night.